Residential Tenancies Act establishes definitions and rules of the sublet or assignment of a rental unit. The assignment of a rental unit occurs when the original tenant transfers the unit and all rights and responsibilities to another person. The sublet of a rental unit occurs when the original tenant gives another person the right to occupy the unit but retains the right to reoccupy the rental unit at some future date. There is a significant difference between the two, and it is important that landlords understand how both situations work.
When a rental unit is assigned, landlords should document the transfer of responsibilities from one tenant to another with an addendum or addition to the lease. This will work to show that the terms and conditions of the original lease now apply to the new tenant or assignee, and the original tenant is no longer responsible for the rent or maintenance of that unit. There is a process which the tenant must follow when they decide to assign their rental unit. If a tenant asks the landlord for general or specific consent to assign the rental unit, the landlord can consent or refuse consent to the specific individual or refuse consent to the assignment altogether. If the landlord does not respond to a request for an assignment within 7 days or flat out refuses to allow the assignment of the rental unit, the tenant has the right to give a 30-day notice to terminate the tenancy. This notice should be in writing and documented using the tenant's notice to end the tenancy form. In the case of subletting, the original tenant continues to be responsible for the payment of rent, any damages to the premises, interference with the landlord and/or other tenants, and any other terms and conditions set out in the tenancy agreement. When a tenant requests permission for a sublet, it is recommended that the landlord refuses to grant consent unless the tenant and the subtenant have entered into a written subtenancy agreement. This right should be reserved in the tenancy agreement. If the subtenant doesn't vacate the rental unit at the end of the sublet period, either the landlord or the tenant may apply for an eviction through the Landlord and Tenant Board. If the tenant wishes to assign or sublet their rental unit, they must make sure they obtain the consent of the landlord. If either a sublet or assignment occurs without the landlord's consent or knowledge, the landlord can apply to the Landlord and Tenant Board for an order evicting the unauthorized occupant. It is really important to note that the landlord must take action within 60 days of the discovery of the unauthorized occupant, or that occupant becomes a tenant.
For more information on subletting and assignment, please visit www.landlordselfhelp.com.